So, as promised on the Wrestling Skull podcast, we're now joined by my familiar co-host to go through and start this beginning of the previews for this year's Royal Rumble. My co-host Matt Essex is on. Matt, how you doing first and foremost, and are you excited for the Royal Rumble?
Oh yeah, I'm doing good, and yeah, of course I'm excited for the Rumble. This one has a good feel about it. I mean, I can safely say that this is the most excited I've been for a Rumble for a number of years now. I don't want to jinx it too much, but I am quite looking forward to it.
Don't jinx it just yet, because I think I don't want to have gone back on last year's podcast before we previewed that Rumble, but I'm sure we might have been somewhat excited on that as well, even though we knew that pretty much Roman Reigns and Triple H was going to be pasted all over it. This year, Matt, I mean, I've got to say, I'd say as an underbelly card, it's quite a strong card that we've got. Like, it's not just about the Royal Rumble. There are, a good 4 title matches that are going to be involved, possibly more times. So it's not bad. It's not a bad stack that we've got, and I feel like the underbelly actually is quite a decent little card that we might, get. I'm not saying that every match is going to be amazing and off the chart, but I think at least 1 or 2 of them could be some stealers for this year. But it all depends what happens, what the outcomes go. So, Matt, let's get straight into this, and I figure we start with the Cruiserweight Championship. That I think there's no secret, Matt, that this originally, if I'm correct in the way I'm thinking here, they were going to just have this on a 205 show, and then they sort of just didn't talk about doing that title match on the 205, and they've sort of saved it now for the Royal Rumble, and of course that match being between Rich Swann and of course Neville, who's come back into this WWE with I think a good bit of momentum, to be honest with you. I'm enjoying the character. As far as you go, Matt, with this the sort of feud that they've had and Neville returning, is this has this been something you've enjoyed? Has this been getting the Cruiserweight title a little bit more credibility, or are we still in the position where we need someone like a Neville to take the belt on and make it his own?
I don't think it's so much the feud, but I think Neville's new attitude that he's showing now has been a bigger success than they probably anticipated.
Sure.
And I think people have got behind him a lot more since this, and taking him a bit more seriously, which is what he's needed for a long time. I would be quite happy to see him become the new Cruiserweight title holder, because I think that does sort of elevate the title a bit more. He is, I'm going to say he is the most talented Cruiserweight they have, but not just because he's from Britain or anything like that. It's just the pure talent that he has. I mean, he moves around that ring effortlessly. He's got so agile, and the way he's built, he looks like the most physically dominant Cruiserweight. So yeah, I'd be happy to see him take the belt tonight.
Well, absolutely. I'm with you on that. I was a little bit sort of sketchy how Neville would come back, but I've enjoyed the heel turn because the thing about him as a babyface, when he came up from NXT, mate, he kind of got really lost in the shuffle. Like, I kept saying the little things weren't working for him, like the whole running down the aisle business, and that the cape thing that he was wearing got on my nerves, and it just seemed like he was just a little guy, send the little guy out to do the fast moves. Whereas now, I think if you make him a quote unquote bad guy, it gives him a little bit more edginess, and what you'll probably find now, Matt, is because he's lost that sort of cape thing, the rope thing, the fans will probably actually start to cheer him at some points during his match a little bit more. Like they'll not that they ever got on his back, but I did think he'd become very normal when he shouldn't be a normal kind of wrestler. He should be like something that we look at and go, wow, this guy, he delivers what nobody else can. And I felt he got so sort of just embedded into all the other stuff that was going on at the same time, that we just lost track of this guy's amazing ability. So I'm really happy for the heel turn. I think he's done a good job since he's come back. Of course, he's thrown that line out that he wants to, he's proclaimed himself the king of the cruiserweights and all the rest of it. So he's put his intention. As far as the match goes, Matt, I mean, are we going to get something that the Cruiserweight title can be a little bit it can give it a bit of credibility? Is this going to get pumped to a pre-card, or is this actually going to be on the main show and stick there, and WWE are going to actually put some time into this, do you think?
Yeah, I'd say it should be on the main card, and hopefully it is. I mean, they've had a trend lately of putting the cruiserweights that aren't really doing much on the pre-show, so hopefully, that will be what they stick with. I mean, I'm not saying that's the best idea, but, it gives them a little bit of exposure. But yeah, I'm hoping this is on the main card, and I think it will be a good match. I mean, both these guys are incredibly capable. I'm not convinced that it will be Neville's night, although I really do hope that it is.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. So I'll take it from that, Matt. You feel like there's going to be a retaining of the belt on this one?
Yeah, it does kind of feel like there might be a little bit more left in this feud. I don't think it's just going to be over on this one night. And Rich Swann just dropping it after Neville sort of proclaimed himself like king of the cruiserweight might damage Swann a little bit too much. But if he retains it and then drops it the next time, it might make him look a little bit better.
Right, yeah, I'm the same with you. I'm going to go with the same result as you. A couple of weeks ago I thought, no, they're going to go everything here with Neville, but I do feel like it might be a bit too quick, and it might be better that Neville has a little bit of a feud, and maybe we get something good at WrestleMania, Matt, where there might be a whole host of these guys in a particular kind of match. I mean, it depends how they're going to treat the cruiserweights at WrestleMania. Are we going to get all the cruiserweights on a pre-show? That would be ridiculous. That would be a total disrespect for that title. Or are we going to get something really innovative where we can get a lot of these guys involved and make it something completely different? Like, I know in the past few WrestleManias, Matt, we've had ladder matches for the Intercontinental Championship. I kind of feel like now, that's kind of, I mean, it's sort of almost what Money in the Bank was doing. And I kind of feel like, how many times are you going to do that? Because you have the ladder match then you're going to have the pay-per-view of Money in the Bank, and it just seems like there's too many of them sometimes. So I would like to see, if they want to have a bit of fast pace during WrestleMania, I'd like to see it between all the cruiserweights, because that's kind of what they're there for in a lot of ways. They're there to give that quickness. That's what they've advertised this as. So that might be a good idea for those guys to have something. I'm not saying it has to be a ladder match. It could be another kind of match. It could be like we had at WrestleMania 20 even, with the cruiserweights, something like that. Maybe an open invitational type thing. But, just something a little bit different that all those guys can get involved with. And mainly, let's have that title defended on WrestleMania. So, we both go with Rich Swann on that one, and Neville perhaps chasing down the line on that one. Okay, Matt, let's take some questions now, because we've had quite a few of them come in this past week and stuff like that. So, first question is from Steve. I really think it's Braun's time. I know he has a lot of doubters, but he's my pick, and I do think WWE can use him effectively towards a big match at Mania. What do you think to Braun Strowman versus champion Goldberg? That'd be interesting, but I don't know how that would mean Goldberg would have to pretty much win in the the Fastlane pay-per-view for that to happen, wouldn't it, Matt? But is that illogical? I mean, would that be one of the matches for Braun Strowman if he was to win Goldberg?
Well, this does seem like Braun's getting a bit of a push now, but I'm not too sure that would be a good one for him, because Goldberg's a big name in that, but the way that they're promoting him now, it seems like they've got plans for Goldberg in some capacity. It doesn't really seem like, at first I thought they were just going to use him and then just drop him pretty quickly.
Sure.
But now it seems like they see something in him. It feels like they're going to go with a string of wins, perhaps. So I wouldn't say Braun going up against him would be my favourite. I think there would be other guys. I'd even choose Undertaker over Goldberg personally.
Kind of with you there. I mean, if they go with Braun, listen, they've got to get something in place where they're going to do that classic big man. It's going to be like old school WWE in a way. It's going to be like WrestleMania 8 and stuff like that, where you get Sid coming in, or WrestleMania 3 and 2 with Bundy and Andre. You know, it's that sort of thing, isn't it? So, you know, that'd be the right opponent to get that over the line. But, you know, it's good to see that Braun's got his fans, you know, and that there are people that actually think that it's his time, you know. I mean, he's a guy, if you think about it, Matt, he's been doing the whole jobbing thing for a while. You know, he's just been doing those squash matches. We spoke about those squash matches being a decent move for WWE because it's something that they hadn't used for a long time. And I think it had, you know, the only time it got on my nerves a little bit is around Sami Zayn. But I think other than that, doing that has helped Braun Strowman in a way, even though like it's been sort of the same thing every week. I still think it's better that he does it to guys like that we don't really know than your main roster every week. You know, who has to sort of be sacrificed to the lamb, if you like, the slaughter. Of course, if you want to talk about one guy coming out of it, I think we know that name, don't we now? One of his jobbing opponents. So you know, it can have its positives as well, for sure. So yeah, thank you for your point there, Steve, and be interesting to see. Okay, man, let's move on now with let's go to another match on this card tonight. We're going to have Charlotte Flair, the defending. Well, what's down now is, I mean, I don't know what you call these things half the time, but now we're supposed to call it the Raw Women's Championship. Like, it's so confusing with all these belts and what names are. Like, I've noticed, somebody emailed me in actually a couple of weeks ago, Matt, and they said, oh, have you noticed that they've tweaked the title name on SmackDown? Like, instead of it being called the World Heavyweight Championship, it's now just called, I think it's just called WWE Championship. So they removed the world part out of it for some weird reason. I think just to try and level it up with the Universal, because they know probably the more prestigious title is over there. But it is a very odd thing that they do. But yes, talking about the WWE Raw Women's Championship, and of course Charlotte Flair, who has her own streak going on right now, Matt, with the pay-per-views, up against Bayley. Matt, I mean, this match, like, on paper, this looks like an amazing, you know, two incredible forces coming together in the women's division. Two pioneers, I would say, that we'll look back on and saying that these two names are, you know, two of the names that you'd say have definitely elevated women's wrestling. But for the Royal Rumble, I know it's a massive audience. I know that's part of the reason they put this match on maybe now, and they've not saved it for a bit later. Whether we'll get it again, who knows? But does it all seem a little bit too the same for you, Matt, and the same sort of feelings here, or are we going to get something completely different?
Yeah, you know, I do feel like we have seen this before, but you know, I don't really feel like now was the time for it. I guess it's because it all seems a little bit too predictable. You know, and if we have seen it before, I think we're at the point where Bayley is the underdog.